Good morning. Hello and welcome to Avyan IAS Academy. Today we will talk about the order of words. As you all might know that owing to a few inflections or very few inflections which we have in English language, that is, we have very few arrangement orders which are there in English language. There are a few basic rules which we need to know while we arrange a sentence. The first rule would be, and they are more or less standard protocols, unless as in certain cases we alter them for either emphasis or for using it as a poetic language, as you will see in the later times. But here the general rules would apply. As the first rule would be, the subject comes before the verb. For example, he drinks water. This is the first example. He drinks water. The he is the subject here, drinks is the verb, and water is the object. So the subject always precedes the verb. We can take one more example. For example, I go to school. Similarly, also I go to school. I is the subject which is preceding the verb go to school. That is the object. Just the if we come to the second rule of this, it is the object comes after the verb. Just as I have already told here that the object would come after the verb. So this is so he drinks water, water being the object. Object is something that is we are acting upon it, hence it is coming after the verb. Example, we can take one more sentence. I went on a vacation. So the vacation is the object which is coming after the verb. Alright, in the third case, where there are both a direct as well as the indirect object, the indirect object precedes the direct object. You all might know what is a direct and the indirect object. An indirect object is the one through which the agency operates, and on the direct object is the one in which the action of the subject is being reflected upon. For example, if we say, lend me your ears. See, there's a clear reversal. It might look like a reversal in the sentence, but lend me your ears. So here this is the direct object, and this is the indirect. The lending is the indirect part of the sentence which is preceding the ears. Or if we say, his father gave an watch to him. In this sentence, the father is the subject. He is the acting or the agent in the sentence. Gave is the verb, and watch to him. The watch is the indirect object. It is the agency, and to him is the direct object. So an indirect object always precedes the direct object. The fourth rule would be, when an adjective is used attributively, it is placed before the subject, it qualifies. Attributively means when we are trying to attribute or describe a subject with any adjective. Example, King Francis was a noble, hearty, and generous king. So we are trying to describe how the king was. He was noble, hearty and generous. All these are attributes we are using to describe the king. Hence they would come before the word king. We can take one more example. That would be the woods I ventured into are lovely, dark and deep. However, with this example we come to the second rule. Whenever we are trying to use these are the words which are describing, so these are the adjectives which we are using in the sentence. So when we are trying to use them predicatively, that is as a predicate in the sentence, they would come after the subject. The woods are the subject, and what are they? They are lovely, dark and deep. So with that we come to the fifth rule. When adjectives are used predicatively, they are placed after the subject. They are placed after the subject that they qualify. These are the first 5 rules which we have. Now we'll go over to a few more rules. Now coming to the next rule, the adjective phrase comes immediately after the noun. For example, if we say old captain was a man of might. Here man of might is the adjective phrase which is coming very close to the word the old captain, which it is describing. The man of might could also be, since we are studying the adjective phrase, hence it's man of might, else we could have also written the mighty man. Had that been a mighty man, it would have been placed before the old captain. Okay. The next rule that we come to is the adverb is generally placed close to the word that it modifies. He is rather a lazy boy. So he is rather a lazy boy. We are talking about the fact that he is a lazy boy. So we are placing the adverb very close to the one we are close to the word lazy boy which we are describing. We could also say the child is fast asleep, which means the child is quite asleep. So since the fast is describing, the adverb is qualifying the verb which is asleep, we are placing it before the verb. However, if we want to modify a sentence which needs to use an adverb completely for it, we will place it at the beginning of the sentence. For example, certainly he is to be blamed. If we are saying that certainly he is to be blamed, we will place the adverb before at the beginning in the sentence, because we are trying to mean that he is certainly to be blamed, and that applies, this word certainly is applicable to the entire sentence. However, in that sentence the child is fast asleep, the word fast is qualifying the word asleep, that is, the verb is being qualified by the adverb, hence it comes very close to the verb. Also we can say surely I shall do this. Gives an emphasis on the fact that I would surely do the work that I have been asked to. Hence, the word surely is qualifying the entire sentence and is placed at the beginning of the sentence. And we come to the next rule, that all the qualifying clauses are placed as close to the words that they qualify. For example, people who live in glass houses should not throw stone at others. So here the qualifying part of the clause is people. We are qualifying the word people with and we are qualifying them with the clause who live in the glass houses should not throw stone at others. They are placed very close to the word they qualify. Finally comes the rule that sometimes the normal order of the sentence is changed in order to give emphasis to a certain part of the sentence. For example, if we say monkeys I detest, the usual arrangement would have been I detest monkeys, but in order to give emphasis to the fact that how much I detest monkeys, they are placed at the beginning of the sentence. Hence we say monkeys I detest. For example, if we say him I abhor, the original order would have been I abhor him, but however, just to explain your hatred for somebody, we are placing the abhor here, him I abhor. So these were a few rules with which we had dealt in this class about the ordering of the words. We will now do a quick recap of all the rules which we did. The first one was the subject is placed before the verb. The next was the object is usually placed after the verb. And in case of the fact, if there are two objects, both the direct and the indirect one precedes the direct object. The fourth one was, if we try to use an adjective as an attribute for the noun, we place it usually before the noun. However, if we try to use them as predicate, it is placed after the sentence. For the next part, if the adjective phrase usually comes immediately after the noun that it is qualifying. The next rule was the adverb is generally placed close to the word that it modifies, which is the adverb modifies a verb, and it's generally placed close to the verb. However, remember that if we want to entirely modify a sentence with an adverb, it would be placed initially at the beginning of the sentences with words like surely, certainly, words like these, absolutely, any of these. And the qualifying clauses are placed as close to the word that it qualifies. And finally, if we say that sometimes the normal order of the words are changed in order to emphasize. They are also used to emphasize. Sometimes they are used in poetic meters and divisions. However, we should remember that owing to the faulty arrangement of the words or phrases, a sentence can absolutely turn into a nonsense. So now I'll leave you with a few sentences which you can reorder and try to work it out on yourselves. So these are the few examples which you can try solving by yourself in order to grasp the proper order of words. The first sentence as it goes: for sale a piano, property of the musician, with 4 legs. The next sentence: he tore up the tender letter in a fit of rage that his mother had written to him. The third sentence is: he saw a countless number of dead traveling across the field. The fourth sentence was: he was very fond of her. He had thought of marrying her more than once. So these are the sentences which you might, in a few sentences you might not think that there are errors in the first place, but you can certainly read and reread them, and you will, I'm sure, find out the proper order of words that you should follow in order to make these sentences meaningful. So that's all for today. Stay tuned for more.